YouTube, check, and Facebook. All right, hey guys, it's Dean. Welcome to Manful Yoga. This is a live broadcast, so if you're watching now, I'll be able to answer some questions near the end. You can always leave a comment and I'll respond to it later. If you are watching this and if you have anything you want to tell me, if you understand what your why is, or if you've read Simon Sinek before, or if you kind of understand this process of and maybe the importance of figuring out what your why is, leave a comment and let me know about it on this video. And the reason why I'm making this video is, first let me tell you what we're going to do in this video. In this video, I'm going to talk about the importance of finding your why, and then I'm going to talk about a recent experience that I had at a marketing conference I went to, and then after that, I'm going to talk about how you can find your why. And in particular, I want to focus on, because I've talked about finding your why before, but what I want to focus on is understanding how your why can be related to self-limiting beliefs or self-limiting practices that you've placed on yourself. And I think this is really important because this is subconscious. This is something that we don't realize that we're doing, but we're essentially, not essentially, we are holding ourselves back in a lot of ways from what we want to be or who we want to be or what we want to achieve. So that's why I think this is really important. So first off, I talked about developing your why. I mentioned something that everyone should do when they're starting a workout program. I put it in my Be the Better You program. That's an entirely free program that I created last year, at the beginning of last year, 2018, to help people get started with a workout program. And basically, your why is your reason for doing what you do. Now, I think everything should have a why, right? Your, why you work out should have a why, right? Your job, your career should have a why, and it needs to be an emotional why, right? So I've talked about this. You need to get deep into your why. So you have to ask yourself multiple times whenever you answer this question, why am I doing this? And then when you give that answer, it's like, I'm doing this to whatever, I'm doing this to teach people yoga. You have to say, okay, well, why are you teaching people yoga? Well, I'm teaching people yoga because I want more people to feel better in their bodies. Why do you want more people to feel better in their bodies? I want more people to feel better in their bodies because I think it's important that we are healthy and that we take care of ourselves, right? So you go deeper and deeper until you get to the emotional, until you get to that emotional answer. And for me, I've done this process and I've come up with my why multiple times. But for whatever reason, this last time that I did this, I had kind of a breakthrough. And so that's what I want to talk about here. And I'm also going to talk about how I got to that point and how I kind of understood and how I was able to frame my why or frame the questioning in a way that allowed me to get to this point. So let me give you the context. So I was at a marketing conference, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago now, and this was the third day of the conference. If you've been to a conference before, if you attend talks all day long, if you're taking notes the entire time, it's a really draining process, right? Because you're learning new things, you're scribbling down notes, you don't have any time for lunch, you go from one session to the next session, and it's just very constant, right? So it's really draining for your brain. So this is day 3 of the event. It's the afternoon, so I'm pretty much exhausted at this point. I go into this next presentation, I'm like, I'm not even going to take notes. I'm just going to sit there and listen. Because at this point, I don't know if my brain can hold any more information. I've already got so many things that I want to do, so many new ideas for Manful Yoga. What more am I going to learn in one talk? And the speaker was Dean Grandiosi. And if you know who this guy is, he's well, I don't know really how to describe him. But he does a ton of we'll put it in the self-development category, basically telling people, I don't really know what a shtick is, honestly. So I'm just going to say I saw Dean Grandiosi speak, and I knew that I had gone to one of his previous presentations the day before. I knew that he was a great presenter, so I was like, I'm going to go watch him talk. If nothing else, I'll learn about presentation skills. So I went and I heard him speak. And he starts going through his talk, and I realized, okay, cool, this is going to be a cool talk because he's not just giving He's not just giving random marketing advice here or a tactic. He's talking about the strategies of the most successful people in the world. So he was talking about strategies that he's gotten from Richard Branson, the Virgin billionaire entrepreneur, and basically basically going through all these different things. And he started talking about your why, and I was like, I've done this before. I've read the book. I've came across this concept in multiple books and multiple situations. And the whole concept of developing your why and understanding your why, or finding your why, whatever you want to call it, is nothing new. Stephen McCovey did it in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People in the 1980s. Jim Collins was doing it in Good to Great, Built to Last, which is his book on basically creating effective businesses, great businesses, as he would call them. He did this in the 1990s. Simon Sinek made it more popular in the 2010s, and people are still talking about it today. So what was significant for me, he explained it in different ways. So first off, his process for getting to his why, first off, he recommended having someone do it with you. So instead of just asking yourself, he recommended having someone actually ask you, going through this process. Why do you want to do yoga? I want to do yoga because I want to be flexible. Why do you want to be flexible? I want to be flexible because it's important to my fitness. Why is your fitness important to you, right? So you go through these questions and you keep on asking why until you get to the real emotional answer that honestly, that makes you tear up or that makes you want to cry. That's when you're getting into the really powerful answer, and that's when you're getting to your real why. And so Dean's process for getting this was asking yourself why 7 times. If you ask yourself why 7 times, you'll get to that answer. And it's not an exact, right? You might only need to ask yourself 3 times or 4 times or 5 times, or maybe you need to ask yourself 10 times. But 7 whys was his way for doing this. But even that wasn't the new thing for me. I've heard asking yourself 5 times or asking yourself 4 times. What was new for me was how he basically gave the audience, gave me permission to understand my why in more personal terms. So for me, I've always tried to make my why about helping other people, because ultimately with Manful Yoga, that's what I want to do. I want to help as many people as I can learn yoga so that they can improve their fitness, so that they can live healthier, more fulfilling, happier lives. But there's a deeper level to that, because really it needs to be more personal than that. And it needs to be not just about other people, it needs to be about you. And so that's when I started thinking, okay, what is my real why here? What really drives me? So I started asking myself, why again? And all of a sudden it dawned on me that all of the things that I do in all of these different situations that I feel really uncomfortable, I think that it's really important, by the way, if you're trying to understand yourself and you're trying to kind of remove self-limiting barriers for yourself, you have to dig into those experiences and those situations where you feel uncomfortable. And so for me, I started thinking about, when do I feel most uncomfortable? And I realized that the parallel or the underlying theme of all of these uncomfortable situations that I was thinking of all had to do with the fact that I wanted to avoid feeling insignificant. And so for me, that was really powerful when I realized, holy shit, the reason why I do so much of what I do is because I don't want to feel insignificant. I spend tons of time creating content and making sure that it's accurate, making sure that it's as good as I possibly can make it, because I don't want someone to see it and say, man, this guy sucks. He really doesn't care. He really, he's not that great at what he does. Or when I'm training, because I work out still, and I really push myself, my workouts and my conditioning, because I still want to go on the lacrosse field and play. And I want people to think, man, that guy's good. That guy's pushing himself. I wish, I want to be as good as that guy. I don't want people to say, that guy sucks. I'm going to dodge right by him, run around him. He's no good. And so I realized that a lot of the reason why I do what I do is because I'm fighting against this insecurity of not wanting to feel insignificant. And so and this is what I talked about in my off the mat email. So if you're watching this now and you get my emails already, you might be familiar with this. And that was part one of that email. And so the next part of it is getting into, okay, you understand now that you're doing what you do because you don't want to feel insignificant. So what are you going to do about it? And so this is where I started to think. And by the way, I'm not saying this because I want you guys to say, oh no, Dean feels insignificant. Let's send him heart emojis. No, I don't give a damn about that. You know, and the reason for that is because, you know, I've been talking about this in the sense of self-limiting beliefs, right? Self. And so there's no amount of external support or external, you know, I guess external support is the right word here, that is going to overcome that internal self-limiting belief. And so, you know, I'm saying that because it has nothing to do with you guys, or it has nothing to do with the things that I've done. It all has to do with the things that I still believe about myself, or still things, the actions that I have, the habits that I have created to reinforce this belief. And I'm actually really happy that I found this out, because it's helped me understand what are these self-limiting practices that I subconsciously place on myself. And so thinking about this idea of I do a lot of what I do because I don't want to feel insignificant, I realized that this manifests itself in a lot of ways, that I subconsciously practice I have a lot of habits and behaviors that subconsciously reinforce this self-limiting belief. And so, you know, I started to think about that. So one way, for example, is I don't always dress up to go to work. Like, this is what I wear to work, right? I'm wearing shorts and I'm wearing a t-shirt. But sometimes I will wear like really you know, really old sweatpants with holes in them, or I'll wear like, you know, a hoodie with like a hole in it or something like that, or I won't do my hair, and I'll just get up in bedhead and go to work. And what I thought I was doing when I was doing this is I was saying, doesn't matter what I wear to work, you know, and if you judge me, then, you know, screw you, because I've got a great job and I can do whatever I can wear whatever I want to go to work, yada, yada, yada. But what I realized was, what was deeper here, what was subconsciously happening was I was using this as an excuse for why I felt insignificant in certain situations. So, you know, instead of saying, oh, I feel uncomfortable because I feel insignificant, I was saying, I feel insignificant right now because those people are judging me for my old clothing, or like my sweatpants with holes in it, right? So I was using my clothing and my appearance as a way to kind of get around or excuse myself from that feeling of insignificance, right? Does that make sense? So I was kind of using that as a shield, or as an avoidance tactic, right? And so I thought about thinking, and that really blew my mind, honestly, because I hadn't thought about it in that way before. And some other aspects, and I started thinking about it a little bit more, like, what are some other things that I do to kind of create this, or to subconsciously reinforce this idea that I'm not worthy, or that I'm not, you know, that I'm still insignificant. And so one other way was that I thought about my office, right? You guys have seen a tour of the office. I'm not going to do it in this video because the cameras are all set. But the office is very much startup mode, right? We've got the mats here, we've got the pretty cool logo on the wall, but we don't have cubbies for anything. Like, there's a lot of stuff just lying out. My desk is a messy piece of crap. The desk is great, it's a stand-up desk, but it's messy, and there's boxes everywhere, and there's yoga mats everywhere, and it's not organized. And so what I realized was, this was my subconscious way of giving myself permission to kind of keep myself in startup mode, or keep myself from kind of reaching the next level in my business. And so this is just another example of me imposing my own personal self-limiting beliefs on my environment. And that was another way I was like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I thought that I'm being a cool startup company, like I'm not being like everybody else and making my office look cool. I'm keeping it very Spartan and not spending any additional money. But really what I'm, and that might be true, but the other interpretation of this is that I'm limiting my success because I'm surrounding myself in an environment that does not reflect what a successful fitness business would look like. At least that was my new perspective. And so, and again, I'm not saying this because I want to, because I want people to tell me, no, Dean, you are worthy, or no, Dean, like you're not insignificant. It doesn't, that's not what this is about. It's because, as I've said, these are self-limiting beliefs that I have placed on myself. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with me having, having a social media audience or having an email list or having, a business. It has nothing to do with that this way. And that's fine because now I understand what my motivation is. I'm actually really happy that I figured this out because now I have my motivation. And understanding what your why is, in this case for me, it's the desire to avoid feeling insignificant. It helps you develop that intrinsic motivation that you can use whenever you need to power through something, or whenever you need to remind yourself of why you're doing something. You can get back down to that very basic reason of why, to help motivate you, to push you through what you're doing, and to do the best you can at what you're doing. So for me, this was a really powerful thing. And so some things that I've in response to this realization and thinking deeper about it, some things that I've already done and plan to do. One thing was kind of clearing out my wardrobe of clothes that make me feel insignificant, right? So I got rid of a lot of my older clothing, my kind of lounge clothing. One other thing that I've started to do is if I go out, to dinner, or I go out and I'm out in public, I'm gonna wear my nice clothes. I'm not gonna wear, like my gym clothing, because I don't want to have this excuse that I don't want to be able to hide behind that perception that I feel insignificant and then blame it on my clothing, right? So I want to wear clothing that makes me feel confident, instead of just wearing my gym clothes and then saying, oh, people, they're not going to think a lot of me because I'm just wearing my gym clothes, right? We're also in the process of kind of upgrading the office. We're going to be putting in some different floors, and we're going to be organizing this a little bit more to make it look a lot better. So that's another example. But again, this isn't something that for me that's bad, and I have no intention and no desire to try and undo that insecurity, because that insecurity is what drives me to do what I do. I want to help more people. I want to be more successful with Manful Yoga. I want to write more books. I want to put out more DVDs. I want to continue to have the best cork yoga mat on the market. I want to do all these things, and I have no desire to stop that motivation that's driving me to do all of this, because I know that I'm going to be able to provide better for my family, my future family. I'm going to be able to do the things that I want to do. I'm going to be able to have higher quality content and create more if I use that insecurity for motivation, if I use that why for motivation. So I have no, I'm not the yoga guy who's going to tell you to be okay with where you are and just try to accept yourself. There's plenty of yoga instructors who do that. That's not what I'm about. So anyways, tangent. But anyway, so that's kind of my story with why. And again, the process for you, if you've been watching this and you're like, wow, that sounds really powerful, that's something that I want to do. The process for finding your why is asking yourself why you do what you do 7 times until you get to that answer that is emotional, that really strikes an emotional chord with you, that kind of pokes at those spongy, uncomfortable parts of you that makes you feel vulnerable. That's what you want. So if you can ask yourself why 7 times and get to the bottom of it, I think that you're going to be able to find your why, but also have this really incredible source of intrinsic motivation to drive you to accomplish the things you want to accomplish. So ultimately, you're going to be happier, you're going to be more fulfilled, and you're going to be able to help more people. I think that's important to realize, is that you holding yourself back is bad for the world, because ultimately most of us are doing what we are doing because we want to help other people, right? There are some people who are greedy and they're straight up just doing what they are doing because they want to make money. But I think for the most part, people are good and they want to help other people. They either want to make them, they either want to help them by making a better life for their children, by helping them create wealth, or by helping them improve their health. Those are the three things that we hear a lot: wealth, health, and children. So I think that people are generally good, and that we're doing what we're doing because we're trying to help others. So I think it's important to use your insecurities as motivators, and that's what I'm doing here. And then the second part of that is, after you find your why, try to dissect your why and think about, okay, this is what I believe, or this is the insecurity that's driving me to do what I do. Now, how does this insecurity play out? What are some specific habits that I've developed that reinforce this insecurity? And so for me, it was in looking around my office and realizing that I kept my office kind of Spartan and kind of startup-like, instead of getting racks for my yoga mats or making it look nicer. In terms of my wardrobe, I kept a lot of my older clothing and wore that on a regular basis instead of spending like $30 to get some new sweatpants. So there are a lot of ways that your insecurities might come up, and I think it's important to remove the habits that reinforce those insecurities. And that's what I thought. That's what I was realizing when I was thinking about this realization of my why. So. I don't know how long that was, 25 minutes, 30, 21 minutes. But if this sounds like something that's helpful, that might be powerful for you, I encourage you to go through this process of uncovering your why. If you would much rather have this in a written format, I do these emails. This is called my Off the Mat email series, and I do these typically on Fridays. You can sign up for this at manfulyoga.com/off-the-mat, and that'll ensure that you get these emails. But yeah, that's pretty much my talk today about why it's important to find your why and how you can find yours. And I'll go through, do we have any? Okay, cool. So if you're watching this live, feel free to, again, you're free to leave a comment, you're free to ask questions. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you're watching this and you think this sounds like a powerful exercise, I'd encourage you to do it this weekend. I think the best way to do it, and I've explained this in prior blogs and videos, I think the best way to do this is to go out into nature, to be by yourself, to turn off your phone, go on airplane mode, bring a notebook, and just start writing down things that are important to you, and then asking why you do what you do. And again, asking yourself 7 times until you get to that emotional reason. And I think that it can be a really powerful practice for you to not only, if you're watching this because you want to improve your fitness, it's going to be powerful because it will give you motivation. It will give you the motivation you need to stick with your workout program. If you want to, work on improving your business or improving your family situation, if you want to have better relationships in your life, whatever it is that you want to do, I think that understanding your why applies to everything that you do. So I think it's a really powerful tool that we can use. And I'd highly encourage you to do that, especially if you've been struggling with sticking with your workout program, if you feel like you lack motivation, or if you just don't have a general sense of direction. I think this is a really important thing that we should all be doing from time to time. Over time, your why does not change, but what you do as a result of your why does change. So just keep that in mind. Cool. Well, that's all I've got. Other notes, we've got the Manful Yoga mat is back in stock. It's on Amazon. I have Manful Yoga Guy Yoga coming out on Friday, March 22nd. This is a totally revamped, repurposed DVD program. It's our beginner's yoga program for men. It will be available exclusively on manfulyoga.com for a limited time. It's free, just the cost of shipping and handling. So that goes live on Friday, March 22nd. And that's it. If you guys are already subscribed, make sure you're subscribed. Check out my website if you're looking for full online structured workout programs with actual results. And we also do a lot of motivation, exercises, tutorials, diet, nutrition, and all of that stuff on the website as well. So be sure to check that out at manfulyoga.com. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got to know me a little bit more. And if you already know what your why is, or if you're struggling to find yours, feel free to leave yours in the comments. Talk about it in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Someone does have one question now.
Yeah.
What's your toughest workout on YouTube?
Upper body workout. All right, cool.